Marjorie O'Neill, thanks for joining us. Should Sydney's beaches be open or shut? Should beaches actually around the country, in fact, be open or shut to the public?
Chris, firstly, thank you very much for having me on the show. Look, I can't speak to the rest of Australia. All I can do is speak about the eastern suburbs, which is unfortunately the epicentre of COVID-19 in New South Wales. And I have to say, what we are asking of our communities is a huge sacrifice. As someone who lives right by the beach myself and goes to the beach every day to swim, saying to the people of the eastern suburbs, you can't swim anymore, is a really, really big ask of them. And I have to say I am supportive of these restrictions being put in place, but I get it. Right, I get it, and as I said, this is a huge sacrifice for our community. I can't imagine what it was like this morning for mums and dads and kids to wake up on the first day of school holidays, shining blue sky, beautiful crystal waters, and not only can you not swim in the ocean, you can't go to parks, but this is a sacrifice that needs to be made for the rest of our country as well and for the health of our most vulnerable people.
But there are medical experts around the country who's saying there's nothing wrong with walking on the beach or going for a swim. It's crowds that are the problem. You don't want crowds at the lavatories at the beaches. You don't want crowds in the ice cream shops that have all been shut. But for people just to go and walk on the beach or go for a swim, much as they are doing in parks around the country, that this would actually be good for people and wouldn't be a problem with infections.
Well, Chris, I think the thing is, had we not seen the scenes that we had seen 2 weeks ago at Bondi, we probably wouldn't be in this situation. But the reality is, because of mixed messaging from the government, people just generally aren't listening to it, and it's an incredibly hard thing to police. Now, again, what we are asking is a huge sacrifice of people, and I get it. Exercise is incredibly important, not only for our physical bodies, but also for our mental health. And it is important that people continue to go out and exercise, but what we know is we cannot police it in the eastern suburbs with our beaches, and it's been a ministerial directive to shut down Bondi Beach, and we know in the past when things at Bondi Beach get shut down, it just moves south, and we've seen that in the past with things like alcohol restrictions. Bondi Beach, alcohol was restricted there, it just moved to Bronte. When it was shut down across the Waverley LGA, it moved to Coogee. When Coogee shut it down, it moved to Maroubra, and so on and so on. So there has needed to be a unified approach to this in the eastern suburbs so that we don't see, in particular, the backpacker crowd, who are clearly not listening to government restrictions on this, moving across our LGA and spreading the virus.
So you're supporting fences being put across beaches right up and down the coast, right around this country, stopping people from actually going to the beach, when just across the road they're allowed to walk in couples or family groups in the park. They can't do that on the beach. It seems incongruous to say the least.
Look, as I said, I don't think that we can have a one-size-fits-all model for Australia, but we do know that there is a problem in the eastern suburbs. It is the epicentre, again. We know that there is a huge number of cases around Bondi, in Waverley, in the Randwick LGA, and again, I don't want to pretend to say that what we're asking of people is easy. It's incredibly difficult, and this is a huge sacrifice for people. If that's what's needed to stop the crowds from going in there, unfortunately, that's what's needed. And I get it. I get the anxiety that is going through people, but there are really vulnerable people in our community, and we know that one of the ways, and one of the most important ways of us stopping the spread is by stopping these crowds gathering on our beaches.
Marjorie O'Neill, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Chris.